Hello everybody, Cowbell here. So just wanted to let everybody know that I did a recording of the NPSI fleet, the Spectre fleet armor pain train. I went and looked at the video and for some reason the sound was all messed up and I was having a lot of issues with my mic. So I'm going to do a little bit different of a video today. This is an inspiration from Ron, USMC. He's a Twitch guy who goes over his fights. He does breakdown videos. So that's what I'm going to do for this video, and I hope you guys enjoy. So again, this was an NPSI fleet. We started out our roam in StatCom, and we pushed towards the Ville area. First fight was against a Vexor. I decided not to take this fight. I'm trying to build up my security status, and it really wasn't worth it. Vexors normally aren't worth more than, 20, 30 million ISK, so I passed on this one. Like I said, good way to start out the NPSI fleet with a first kill. And the next fight is going to be myself landing on a gate. I go to a small outpost. There's a small gang here. Basically, I knew I was going to get tackled, but I was going to be the warp-in for our team. So I warp into this small outpost. You can see I basically have no chance. I line out. I get scrammed right away. I'm calling on comms for our guys to jump in, get some tackle. And I keep my pod here. I knew it wasn't worth it. I was still trying to get our guys to warp in, and I wanted to give them something to jump to. So I go ahead and I take the Pod Express back to Jita, which is totally okay with me. I go and reship. Now, during this fight, they actually managed to take out Drake worth 62 million and a Magus worth 550 million. And actually, the really good thing about that fight was a member of our fleet was able to dunk a pod worth 3 billion ISK. So 550 million Magus, 3 billion pod. We lost a Heck, a Magus, 2 Thalias, a Malediction, and an Omen Navy. So next fight is going to be, I see a small group on this small outpost. So I warp in. Again, my team is sitting on the other gate. I'm flying +1. I'm tackle. My first ship that I died in was a Stiletto, and I'm in an Ares. And Ares is actually my favorite ship to fly for tackle. So I check the first gate. I see they're not sitting on the outside, so I jump gate. And right away, I see a Vigil Fleet and a Dragoon. They're sitting extremely close, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to burn off. This is trying to buy time for my team members to jump in. They do get a web on me, do get a scram on me, but I'm able to break that. And again, I'm calling for everybody to jump in. You're going to see local spike in a second here. So my team jumps in, and I'm calling for Logi as well. I need backup as soon as possible. So I pull range on them. I'm sitting about 60k off. I decide to burn back in. Luckily, they stayed for the fight, so I go for the more expensive of the two. I decide to lock the Vigil Fleet issue. And you're going to see I get in a close orbit of 500. I probably should have turned off my MWD and tried to SIG tank this a little bit better, but it doesn't really matter at this point. And you can see I get my scrams off. I got the guy pointed. I overheat my repper at a great time, and you're going to see I cycle it up real quick. And actually, this is probably the first time I've actually hit my reps at the correct time. But this guy's buddy actually decides to peel off. He kind of left him high and dry. I don't know why. He was in a cheap ship. If he would have stayed on grid, they actually would have dunked me. But me leaving my MWD on, I actually capped myself out, and I'm not able to rep. But Logi lands on grid. The rest of the cavalry, you can see, lands on grid with us. And everybody, I think, was able to get on this kill, except for the guys that were unable to jump into the small. And props to our Logi. We had 5 Logi this NPSI fleet. Not very often you get that much Logi, but so you'll see we wind up taking this guy out. He was worth, let's see, he was worth about 35 million ISK. Again, nothing great, but I'll take a kill. And thanks again to the Logi for saving my bacon. And I'm going to warp off real quick here. I just go to a pocket and I have to repair my hull. So I'm going to ping off. And then we decide to talk about and see where we're going to go next. And it wasn't very active in this area, so we push a little bit further towards the region of Tama. As you guys know, that's basically the low-sec PvP mecca. If you're looking for a good fight or just to get in some trouble, you head to Tama. And I'm +1 still. You'll see, I'm just going to land at this Astra House and wrap up real quick. So next fight is going to be on the Noverkiken Gate. I'm sitting at Space Detroit. As you all know, that's one of the main player hubs. If you're in the area and you're watching Noverkiken Gate, that's where you sit. So we're debating what we're gonna fight. This is kind of a tough fleet for what our composition is, but we're picking targets. We were going for the Drekavac. He actually was smart, and he pinged off. So the next target was the Ashimu, and we were also calling the X's and seeing if we wanted to fight them. I got yellow boxed right away. This guy's smart. So I get my scrams back on him. You could see the crew is landing. I ping off to Space Detroit real quick to break that yellow box, and then I'm going to ping back in. Now, they call for a different target. They call for the X. They're going to dunk him real easy before I even land on grid. And then we were debating if we go for the Gnosis but they decided to keep primary on the Ashimu. So we sink the Ashimu. And at this point, they decide to ping off, which is smart on their part. We probably could have slugged it out. It would have been a good trade-off. Let's see. That Ashimu was worth about 100 million ISK. Nothing too fancy. Standard fit for the TAM area. So we're sitting around deciding what the next play is. We were waiting to see if they were going to come back. Again, we wanted to get that Drekavac, but turns out they didn't want to fight. These guys are always in this area. If you recognize some of the names, it's smart on their part not to fight us. They don't want to lose the fancy ship just for some a mix of T1 frigates and T1 destroyers. I believe they were able to get our Boucher, so they were ISK positive for that fight. Next fight is we're still in the Tama area. I decide to ping off to the sun, and our other tackle found a Jaguar. So I'm going to ping off to the sun real quick, and I do my normal nonsense. I see a corpse sitting out in space. I go in, scoop it up. He was probably a sacrifice to the sun god, so maybe it was bad on me for taking this guy's body, but our tackle, again, they spot somebody in one of these outposts. Looks like the medium outpost. So I go in behind him. I decided to be I'm the +2, I guess. And I'm just there for secondary. Jaguars are pretty strong. They're known to pump out a lot of DPS real quick. So I go in as the secondary. And what you're going to see is this guy knows he's in trouble. So he is going to switch his primary onto me. I don't think he realized I had pretty strong reps. So lock up the Jaguar. Get into orbit, get my scrams, get my nude on him, get my guns on him. Now I'm just carrying real small guns, so it doesn't really matter. I'm basically throwing peas at the guy. And my guns, I think, only hit out to about 2,500. And I'm looking now on the screen. It looks like my nute's not doing anything, but again, it doesn't really matter. This is where he switches primary to me. You'll see him yellow box me, and I start taking damage. Again, I overheat my reps. Looks like I click it for a cycle right here. Everybody lands, and I decide to ping off. You could see I'm getting hit pretty hard. He gets me into hull a little bit, and I'm able to get out of there. So again, another really good timing on the reps on my part. So I was really happy about this fight. This guy didn't know we had a whole gang in there, but props to him for putting a Jaguar on grid. That Jaguar was worth about 50 million. So this is that same group that we were fighting on the Noverkiken Gate. I go back to see if there's any juicy targets. Now there was a Dominix, excuse me, a Dominix that was kind of pinging back and forth, and we didn't really know what he was up to. We thought he was with this gang. And I was going just for a quick tackle, just to see what I could get. I knew this was going to be suicide. I lock up this Gnosis. He insta-locks me back. And you're going to see I get dunked pretty quick. He puts a scram on me, a couple shots, and I'm done for. Now, somehow I managed to get on this Dominix kill. They wound up turning their guns on him. That Dami was worth 250 mil. So I lost a 40 mil Ares and traded that for a 240 mil Dami, which is okay in my book. And then looking at this composition on the right hand side, it just wasn't worth fighting those guys. They had the numbers on us. So the next fight is going to be, we pushed out into Old Man Star. We were done with the Tama area. This Praxis decided to fight us. He had his buddies with them, another little small gang. And props to these dudes. On a Saturday night, when you're in an NPSI fleet, you'll take any fight you could get. So this guy was, he was willing to fight. So fights against frigates in a are just awesome when you're in a battleship. As you could tell, he's getting scratched a little bit. I'm slinging my fireworks at him. We get him locked up. Pretty soon, you're going to see his buddies land. So you have a Gnosis land behind him. He was a guy watching us as we were jumping through all the systems. Again, these dudes are known to be in this area, and they're known to give really good fights. And they're going to land actually a couple more things on grid. And I was worried about getting primaried and scrammed, so I'm trying to stay out of this guy's range. I got fireworks I was slinging at him. I didn't put my guns on him, which was okay. We weren't too sure who we were gonna spread tackle on. That was a fault of our own. Probably should have spread tackle to that Gnosis, but we really wanted that Praxis kill. We didn't want him getting away. And we were, at this point, we were light on tackle. You could see we only had 25 people in fleet. I believe there was only one other tackle with me. So we get this Praxis knocked off grid. That Praxis was worth 450 million ISK. And right here we're talking about what's our next target. We have the Zarm that landed on grid. We had a Hurricane. A lot of juicy targets. There was a Dami as well. I get yellow boxed by the Armageddon, and I knew that was going to be a one-shot, so I decide to ping off. Unfortunately, I didn't have a close ping on this gate. So I ping off. Our guys are still slugging it away. And I'm going to jump back real fast. And they're debating who's going to be the primary. There's some really juicy targets. Do we go for the Armageddon? We knew he was probably going to be armor tanked, and we weren't going to be able to break him in time before he dunked us. Especially with his buddies on grid. We decide to go for the juicy target, which is the Zarm. Now, I have actually never fought a Zarm, and we knew it was going to be worth the most. So that was our primary target. So I land back on grid. I spread my tackles to the Armageddon and the Dami. And then at this point, like I said, I wasn't clear if we were going to have enough points to hold that Zarm. And he's sitting pretty far off from me, so I burn back towards him. I lock him up, and I take my tackle off the arm and the Dami, and I put it on the Zarm. We decide this is going to be the juiciest target on grid. Let's finish this guy off. We're trading blows back and forth. As you can see, you're going to see some of our frigates start blowing up. Overall, a really good fight on these guys' part. I wish I would have actually put my scrams on the arm and maybe got one more kill, or maybe even the Dami, but It is what it is. I believe that Hurricane's sitting. He knows he's sitting at range. You can see how fast he's moving. He's moving 2,000. So he was probably just picking people off from a distance. And you can see the calls for repairs go up. We're still on the Zarm, and he's going to wind up going down. Now, this Zarm winds up being worth about 700 million ISK, which, again, when you're talking about NPSI fleet and you're trying to be ISK positive, that's a good kill for us. So we dunk him. Nobody else is on grid to really fight. GF's all around. Again, mad props to these guys. Their group was, I believe, I'm trying to see the names. The Praxis was from Pen and Out, and the Zarm was from a group called Effort. So GF's all around. This next fight, we push a little bit further into Auga and the Corkman. I bounce in between gates. I'm going in between the two. Now I'm running +1. I'm trying to get eyes and see what these guys are bringing. I knew they were going to bring a lot of firepower. They had followed us all the way through a couple systems, and we knew they were just forming up and bringing something juicy to fight us. You could see we have 20 in fleet. Our main bait was a Megatron, and he wasn't really fit to fight these guys, but regardless, we knew this was kind of a one-way ticket, and we were going to fight these guys. Look at the fleet composition on the right-hand side. Slasher, Vigilant, Osprey, a Vedmak, Cinnable, and an Ibis. And as I jump through the gate, they're going to lock me up. As I jump through the gate again, I'm given FC intel on what's coming at us, and we decide to take the fight on the other side. So on the other side, Slasher, Scythe, we have a Heck and a Stabber fleet. We're trying to pick our primary targets. We're holding Cloak right now, and on comms it was a bit of a panic. You could hear people going 3, 2, 1. We're getting ready to decloak. So I believe the first target was the Stabber. You're going to see some other stuff land, and we decided to go for the more juicy target, which was a mistake on our part, but we wanted to see if we could take out the more expensive target. So here, everybody decloaks. You could see there are guys starting to put point on us. We decide to go for the Vedmak, which was the correct call, but he's going so fast and he's so far off gate. Look how fast he's moving, almost 3,500. There is no way we were going to catch him. Actually, if you look at the grid, you'll see one of our light tackle actually does catch him, but by the time we would have got out there, they probably would have cleared us all off grid. So we turn back towards the gate in just a second or two here. We go for our secondary targets, so we go for the Stabber fleet. Again, those faction ships were trying to get some quick kills. We knew this was a one-way ticket, so we go for this Stabber fleet. He was worth 70 million ISK, and again, we're trading blows back and forth. You'll see the calls for repairs going out from our guys on the left-hand side. At this point, we only had one Logi, so there was nothing we could do. And you can see all their drones going on the primary target. Our goal was to get this Stabber, and any other targets was just going to be a bonus. I actually lose my points on the guy, but whatever. Next target we call is the Osprey Navy. Again, another faction ship. Sometimes they could be juicy. I get yellow boxed by the Osprey. I think he saw me get him pointed, and he wanted to get off grid. So I hold point for as long as I can. He still has me yellow boxed. I wasn't sure why he didn't shoot me. But I'm going to actually ping off here, because I knew this was going to be, again, a one-way ticket for me if I stayed on grid. There was only a matter of time before this guy dunked me. And without any Logi, nothing I could do. So we're chipping away. We knew as long as we got through his shields, we were going to be good. So we're chipping away at his shields. We're losing guys left and right. They know they have the grid. They know they're going to come out on top for this. I make sure to get my fireworks off, which is probably the most important thing you could do in a fight. So we get him chunked down. You could see he's almost dead here. I got both my scrams on him. I got guns on him, although I'm a little bit out of his range, and he winds up going down. That Osprey Navy was worth about 65 million ISK. Now, the big thing here was we had that Megatron on grid. We were trying to save him. He only had one scram on him, so we were trying to figure out a way that we could get this guy out of there. He had done about, I think, 15 or 20 jumps with us in that Megatron, and it's just kind of a thank you to try to save his ship. But looking at the grid, there's not many of us left. There's nothing we could really do. So I tried to ping back and forth and see if maybe they'll lock me in primary, but it winds up not happening. And nothing much more happens in this fight. They wound up getting everybody. I wind up giving them a kill at the end. I go back to the POC and I target a guy and just let him pop me and get that express trip back to Jita. So I was in an Atron at that point. I wasn't too worried. It was only worth about 7 million ISK. And again, you'll see everybody land. They're going to bring in reinforcements. They're all trying to get the kill mark on this guy. So they're going to start landing some big stuff. You'll see some battleship ping in. You have the Vedmak. You have a Caracal now. A Gila is on grid. They're all just trying to get that tally on their ship. And I just ping back and forth. Again, nothing I could do to save my buddy. So that's about it. I just want to say thank you to everybody, especially the Spectre Fleet team for running the NPSI fleets. If anybody wants more information, check out my description below. There's a chat link for the Spectre Fleet Discord, for the Spectre Fleet in-game channel. Also, if you click my name in-game, TheCowBell, it's all one word, I have a list of all the different NPSI fleets I fly with. A lot of good groups. So you have Spectre Fleet, you have Fun Inc., you have Bombers Bar, and one of my absolute favorite, a guy named Bjornby. He's actually on Twitch, and he usually runs about 2 public fleets a week. And he's EU time zone, so he actually runs them in the morning. I don't get to join his fleets as much as I'd like, but again, I strongly suggest checking all those guys out. If you got any questions, you could leave a message below, or you could hit me up in game, and I'll be happy to give you all the NPSI info you could ever need. So thanks again for joining, everybody. Fly safe.